So, as I've mentioned elsewhere, the chakras are a great structure for thinking about life, the universe, and everything. I like them because they're like fractals. They can work on a very small scale, maybe the smallest scale, and they work on the largest scale. A lot of people talking about the chakras focus on the largest scale, on an anatomy of the body. So they talk about the base chakra in the base of the spine, and then the genitals, and then the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown as a process. And then they spread out from there into talking about some emotions and other functions. And that's where they stop. I'm afraid I go way out from there, or way in from there. My teachers suggested that it was a lot more like the Jacob's ladder, which had which applied to the whole universe, and was also 7 steps in the Bible. You know, they had rocks and plants, then they had animals and on 4 legs, then they had lower human beings, higher human beings, and prophets and lower angelic beings, the average angels, the archangels, and God. They went through 7 steps for the structure of the universe. And I do something similar. But I think it can come down to being very, very practical. For instance, you can structure a ritual using the chakras. You can solve problems, everyday, ordinary problems, using the chakras. Here's an example of how to set goals, whether it be personal or business, using the chakras. First thing, state the problem. That's the first chakra. What is the problem? What are you afraid of? What's irritating you? What's upsetting you? What is it? The second thing, what do you want? What do you desire? Where are you going to go? State it clearly, but don't state it too specifically. Talk about the emotional states that you would like it to be. Third is the structure, the body, which is the solar plexus. Now here's an interesting thing. This is the plan. It's also about the resources that you have available to you. Who are you? What can you bring to the problem, to the solution? Who can you bring to the solution? Maybe you need to talk to friends. And you write a plan. Now here's a bit of an alternative for you. You can write the plan using the chakras as a base for it. The plan is, you want to consider first, what are the things that are going to stand in the way of solving the problem? That's the first chakra. What are the things that can help you solve the problem? What are the goals for each stage of the plan? And again, I mentioned the resources that you have available to you. You need to put those into the plan. Then you need to think about what are the activities that are going to complete the plan. That's the 5th structure, which is, in my process, is doing it, taking care of things. Whereas the passion, that's the 4th stage, the heart chakra, where you take action with your hands. It is yin and yang. Almost everyone just focuses, when they talk about the heart chakra, of just one side or the other. They talk about being empathic and loving and connected, and that is true. But it's also, the male version of having a lot of heart is having courage, going forward against obstacles to achieve the goal anyway. Back to the plan. Now here's something that we should look at with the plan. You should come up with 5 different ways of getting to your goal. Examine the possibilities so that you can see it. This is where flexibility of doing it and thinking about what are the possibilities that may stand in the way or not, and what is, because some of the things that could stand in the way are actually good things. What if all of a sudden you were producing cakes and suddenly someone wanted 100 cakes? How would you do it? You've got a setup where you produce one cake at a time for special events, and a big hotel has got a special event on. There's going to be 1,000 people, and they want with 10 tables, and they want a central cake for each table, 10 tables, and then they want something that looks a bit like, that mirrors the big cakes in terms of a present for each person that's going to be in a box, so that 1,000 people will all get a little something to take with them that looks as beautiful as the central cakes, which will be eaten on the night. Are you ready for success, monstrous success, rather than just predictable success? What are the catastrophic things that could happen that could stand in your way? How are you prepared for those? Can you, if you figure out, say, 5 different ways, 5 different pathways to get to your goal, and you've set the goal in such a way it's possible for that. Let's say that your goal is, I don't know, happiness. What is happiness to you? And you write out a description of a day in the life of a happy person, the happy person that is you. But if you make it very specific, that makes it hard for you to be flexible in response to it. And one of the things that is true across almost all of the paths that you think about, the most flexible is the winner. That's what evolution teaches us, but it's also true in martial arts. It's also true as a lover. If you're too focused on one way of doing it, then you're going to be in problem, because maybe the other person is bored. They don't want it that way. They want something different. You want a bit of excitement, a bit of something new. Be creative. So, when you write the plan and think about it, even if you don't write it down, think about 5 different ways of getting there. One way, most probable. Say 2 that are that are likely. 2 that are very unlikely. 1 that's impossible. And there you go. There's 5. You know, what would you do if you won the lottery? So many people win the lottery, and within 3 years they have lost all of the money, and they're worse off than where they were because they got a taste of having a lot of money. And so, you know, we got to be able to be prepared for monstrously wonderful as well as monstrously bad, and then in between. Those people who do positive thinking, where they say that they think that only focus on the positive, are setting themselves up for a fall. And that's why so many people who focus on the positive only are really quite depressed. Because they're so the reason they're so focused on the positive and won't even countenance any kind of negativity is because they're already really depressed. They're so depressed that the very thought that of something negative is devastating to them. If you cross the street without considering the possibility of getting run over by a car, you'd get hurt pretty quick. You might get away with it a few times. Whereas if you contemplate the possibility that you might be hit, then allow for that possibility, you will cross the street safely every time. Whereas drunks get hit all the time because they don't think about the possibility of getting hit. So, step 4, the heart chakra, is about taking action, like I said, with the hands. So you've made a plan. You started with stating the problem clearly, stating the goal clearly, thinking about what resources you've got available to you and what the structure of using those resources are, and thought about alternative ways of achieving the plan so that you've got 4 or 5 different possibilities, and that way you've allowed for flexibility. Then you start doing it. And you have to sort out, when you make the plan, what are the priorities as to which path you'll take first when you go. Then, while you're walking the path, while you're doing the action, you have to pay attention. You have to listen. That's the throat chakra. Communication is nothing if you're not listening. You don't get it. They won't get you. You've got to be able to talk in their language. You've got to listen to them in order to be able to do that. The sixth chakra, yeah, it's third eye, it's psychic, all those kind of things. I've said this before, but actually it's the meaning of your actions. So when you're making the plan, consider the broader meaning of your actions. When you're considering which path to take out of the possible 5, you need to consider your values. What are the meaning of those values and how will they work for you? And then finally, also feeding back into the plan is the unexpected. When do we reach for God? The crown chakra. When something reminds us that we're a limited humanoid who doesn't know everything and we need help from the universe, higher power, or we need to have trust that in ourselves that we can achieve things regardless of whether they're on our side or not. And the best way to deal with the unexpected is to try to expect it. And that's where we come back to the flexibility of the plan. Having 4 or 5 different ways of thinking about and getting to where you want to go means that you are going to be more flexible when things happen, as they say in the insurance industry, by an act of God. So let's quick summary. State the problem clearly. State the goal, desire also clearly. Write a plan which has flexibility written into it by considering 4 or 5 different ways of getting to the goal that you want to go, and consider your values and what they mean to you, what the goal means to you, so that you can actually choose the best path out of the 4 or 5 different paths that you've considered to at least start with. Then, as you are doing it, you pay attention and then flexibly respond to changes in circumstances, because you've already set the plan in such a way as to be able to be flexible, and you set your goal in such a way as to be flexible. And when you're done with doing it, when you achieve the goal, that there may be unexpected consequences that you get from achieving the goal. What is its meaning for you as a person and in your lifestyle? So those are the chakras applied to a goal, to achieving a goal, solving a problem, and is very practical. You can write it out. I have this written somewhere. I will put it on the website and you can come and take a look. Again, this is Christopher, a thoughtful outsider, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye.